Hey everybody. Doing a nice little live follow-up with Mr. Brandon Wilkinson for Missouri Congressional 3rd District. Got Michael Vasquez from No Soundbites Allowed on board as well. We are issuing a response to the got Michael personal and political attacks on us individually as well as our organizations from the Young Turks. Mike, if you have something to say real quick before we let Brandon go ahead with his intro, I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Now, there's going to be many things that are going to be discussed here. Primarily, we're looking at the unprofessional attacks that were made by the Young Turks against each of us personally and professionally. We're going to be listening to the candidate, Brandon Wilkinson, as he is going to address the misrepresentation of his words, his answers, and where he stands. I want to make sure that since the Young Turks don't pay attention and aren't doing their homework, you may notice that we're going to be looking up and down as we're speaking to one another. I want to be very clear why that happens. We're doing research. We're looking at information. We're making sure that we're giving you the very best answers that we can on many subjects, and we're paying attention to what you're saying to each and every one of us. I know this shouldn't be something that's necessary to say, but considering the way that we are being taken out of context and misrepresented, it seems that it is necessary. And by the way, for the Young Turks, just like Edward R. Murrow, yes, I am a smoker. Yes, I do smoke cigarettes, and I've been doing that for 15 years on my live streams, and I will be doing it on this one as well. So without further ado, Brandon, I would love to hear your comments in response to the Young Turks, and I'm going to light us a cigarette like my hero, Edward R. Murrow.
Thank you, Vass. So, as you guys said, this is to respond to the attack from Cenk Uygur, I believe his Y is silent, and the Young Turks, and also to clarify what it was said. So, during my time campaigning, which has been 2 years and 4 months roughly, I've been asked tens of thousands of questions, and I always answer every single one. I never dodge a single question. I never sugarcoat anything. I never pander or lie. I say exactly what I believe, and if you like what I have to say and what I stand for, then you're going to love me in Congress. So during this time period, I've actually never been in a position where someone came with a question like what you guys asked, which led to the answer, which means I never really had a really deep discussion on it. So I was asked about illegal immigrants and voting, and went further into immigrants. So I had our citizens. So my position was that, and I didn't sugarcoat it, I said exactly what I believe, just like I always do. So I said that, I actually personally feel that people who come here and are naturalized should not be allowed to vote. And I discussed and talked about some of the reasons why. And when you look at it, you see we're not the melting pot anymore. There are certain cultures that come here and they don't assimilate, and they go against the American values, the values that built this nation up, our founding principles. And when you're not assimilating and you come in that way, then you vote in ways that can be detrimental to a nation. There are a lot of people that are here as citizens that want to tear this country completely down and turn it into countries like Venezuela, and we all know how bad that is. So I was honest with you guys, and I said what I believed. But this is one issue where I've actually never had a real discussion with anyone, and no one's ever really asked a question that would lead to that kind of answer. So after the video, when we went off the air, we talked a little bit, and then after we ended the studio room, then me and Zach got on a call, and we talked a little bit, and he made a couple really good points. Then one of my best friends called me. He's studying constitutional law. He's big into government and policies, and he was like, "Hey, Brandon, do you really feel that way?" And I said, "Well, yeah." And I told him my reasons. And then me and him got into a really, really deep dive discussion into the issue. And he made some very, very good points. And so some points I've never really thought about. So like a big one here would be that if you were to come to the station and become a citizen and you don't get to vote, then you actually don't have fair and equal representation. And I can't believe I never really thought about that. Now, when that came up, it hit me like that policy would never work because it wouldn't be fair. Setting aside the 14th Amendment, and I want to also step back and I want to clarify one thing, because I know something that's been said by what the Young Turks and a couple others is that I want to strip people of the rights. No, I feel like what I said in that time period was fairly clear, that it was a way of, future citizens to come in. The thought was maybe to change the way that citizenship works when someone comes in. Maybe there's a set period of time for the first 5 years or maybe 10 where they come in and they don't have their full rights. They wouldn't be a full citizen yet. That was what my thought was before. Let's clarify that, because I didn't clarify it enough that night. But again, after having these deep conversations on an issue, which surprisingly I've never had a deep conversation on, I realized that my position was wrong. And I actually feel that this is a good trait as someone who's running for Congress, is to be able to sit there and say, you know what, you have a better idea than me, and I see where the errors of my plan and my beliefs, and I can sit here and tell you guys, everyone watching, that I was wrong. Okay? And that's something that I feel like we are lacking in politics. When politicians have a bad policy, a bad personal belief, or make a bad statement, when they realize that they were wrong, they don't say, you know what, I was wrong and you're right, and change their path. What they do is they double down, they dig in deeper, because they don't want to admit they're wrong. So I actually think that's a good trait that I'm willing to have the conversation. And I'll point out here, over the years of answering tens of thousands of questions, I never dodge a question. I've probably had at least 1,000 conversations with people who disagreed with me. The thing about me is that if you ask me a leading question, and I know what you want to hear is A, and I believe it's C, I will look at you in the eyes and I'll tell you, listen, I know what you want to hear is A, but I believe the answer is C, and here's why, and I'll have that conversation. And I've had at least 1,000 conversations like that with someone who disagrees. No one has ever been able to change my opinion on a stance, because no one's ever come with a logical argument and could articulate it in such a way where it would change my opinion. The discussion that I had with my friend, and then the following day further with Zach, absolutely, I saw the light on it. So this is the first position I've ever changed on. And I'm going to say this now because I know that when the Young Turks respond, they're going to say that I'm backpedaling, or that I'm pandering, or being spineless or whatever, because they attacked me and now I'm changing my position. I publicly did a video a couple days ago addressing this, before they ever attacked me, before I could have ever known they were going to attack me. And the day before that, I did an interview with, I believe it was Missouri Liberty Report, where they actually asked me about this, and I told them the exact same thing I told you guys. So when the Young Turks decide to say that I'm just scared of dealing with them, or I'm trying to save face because they attacked me, no, I addressed this many days ago. So that's what I wanted to say. And again, I'll sit here and I can say that my position and thought was wrong. And, I can admit that. But I believe it's right now. So I don't believe that we should change the way that that citizenship works. When people come in, they should, once fully a citizen, they should have the rights. Otherwise, then you have two-tier system of citizens. Some citizens get this right and some get none, or some get all and some get some. So I do see there my way on that one. So, and I can admit that. All right, I want to go ahead and pass it off to one of you guys. Oh, wait. Because of Chank attacking, he specifically had mentioned my Let's Go Brandon jacket, or Let's Go Brandon. I decided to wear my special Let's Go Brandon blazer in honor of him.
There you go. Zach, I know you're doing some work while we're talking right now in the background, making sure that the Young Turks are aware that we are responding to them and looking for them to answer us specifically. So people are wondering, that's one of the things that's happening in the background. But Zach, I want to give you the opportunity. Do you want to speak first?
You can go ahead.
Okay. So let me address something for Mr. Jankwager, the members of the Young Turks. Look, I understand that your channel is in desperate need of attention. I can understand that, since you've been bought out and you're now part of the corporate mainstream media, and you've lost attention, you've lost significance in the in the very target audience you're looking for. But that doesn't give you the leeway to do what you have done. And let's be very specific. Besides taking the candidate, Brandon Wilkinson, out of context, which in and of itself is a bad thing, you didn't even do your homework. This was a edited, out of context post on Twitter by a group called Patriot Takes, an organization which is, by its own definition, a left-leaning organization, an organization that is funded by Act Blue, an organization that has a political action committee, a PAC, that has specifically targeted advancing the goals of a Democratic Party. So that makes it partisan, which should, for any news media agency, give them pause about any of the edited content that they have, especially when neither Patriot Takes nor the Young Turks had the balls to actually provide the public with a link to the over 2-hour interview with Brandon Wilkinson that was conducted by the National Firearms Coalition, myself, and of course our friends at the Liberty First Foundation. And I have to ask, why were they so afraid to provide the actual content so that the public could see it in full context and understand not only the question, the answer, but also the follow-up that followed afterwards, which, to give you credit, Mr. Wilkinson, he continued at that point. He even then, and that same night, said, wait a minute, this idea wasn't fully thought through because it was an idea he had never been presented with before, and he was still evaluating his position, which I can respect. So on a level of professionalism, which they wanted to question in terms of myself, having done 15 years of political commentary, I have spoken to over 170 different candidates of every single party in this nation. I have talked to the Green Party, I have talked to libertarians, I have talked to conservatives, Republicans, and yes, Democrats, elected and those running as candidates, especially first-time candidates. Because unlike the Young Turks, I like to make sure that constituents, voters, have the opportunity to hear the voices of candidates to know who is going to represent them and where they actually stand on non-standard softball questions. And I like to say, Mr. Wilkinson took many difficult questions that were posed by myself and others, and he answered them in a forthright manner that many candidates I have seen who are well-seasoned and have been elected multiple times, Democrats and Republicans, can't answer or will not answer. But now that I've addressed something that everyone in the public should ask, why didn't the Young Turks give the attribution of that video, which happened to be my video? Yes, and my site is no Soundbites Allowed. They didn't provide the actual attribution, did not give the public the ability to see this in full. You have to ask yourself the question, why were they afraid to let you hear the full content? Why were they afraid to attribute this to me, a channel I only have on YouTube 855 subscribers at this moment? Yes, we hope to get bigger. And the full weight of the Young Turks, with its complete multi-million-dollar funding from mainstream media, decided that they wanted to attack me because I'm a black Republican, and you want to say, well, you're a smoker. How bad of that? There's over 25% of Americans that are smokers. Do you have a problem with that? Is that an issue for you? I believe Mr. Uyghur himself has had cigars. He's a smoker. Should he be defamed for making a personal choice in his life? Should he be attacked? You made inferences, personal attacks, trying to infer that I'm some kind of racist. I have had over 2,000 articles that I have written that are public at this very moment, with over 2 million words that I have written. I have well over 1,300 videos on YouTube alone. We're talking about content of over 1,000 hours. And not once, whenever I have gotten this accusation of being a racist or inference of being a racist, not once has someone been able to find any evidence in 15 years of public service that they can say, see, and there's the proof. It's just a way to mislead the public, to distract them. In fact, that's why the Young Turks, after providing this edited content out of context, immediately turned around and decided to personally attack my colleagues and myself and make inferences of the worst sort without any proof, without any verification, because they're liberals, they're progressives, they're Democrats, and they are supported by the mainstream media, and they didn't think anyone would ever question them. They thought that we couldn't fight back, that we couldn't punch up as they were punching down. You know what? I'm not afraid of you. I'm not worried. No, I am not a multi-million-dollar conglomerate. I don't go around and have congressional campaigns where I spend hundreds of thousands, if not more, dollars and lose. I'm sorry. I'm a regular man. I work a regular job and have been doing it for 15 years. And I will stand by the content that I have provided, the questions that I ask, and the fact that I am a member of the press, no matter how small, and that I have been doing this in a respectful manner, even when I speak to Democrats, even when I speak to progressives, and they appear on my channel. And I want to say to them, it is beneath you, the Young Turks, to attack someone that is smaller than you on personal petty attacks that have no validation, to make insinuations of racism that have no credibility, to try and attack people's personal looks. Isn't that something that Republicans and progressives are supposed to say they are against? That they're above these petty attacks? That they don't judge people based on their preferences or their looks or the color of their skin? You seem to be somewhat duplicitous in that manner, and I'm going to call you out for that. And there's much more we can call out besides Patriot Takes and your copy-paste method of providing the public with information without any real substance or content. And if, by chance, the Young Turks would like to actually address me as a human being and to speak about this directly, I'll be more than happy to do so. You can come to my channel anytime and I will have you on. But don't play this game of, you might be a racist. You want to say that? Provide some proof. You don't like the way I look? I could care less. You're not that important. You're not that relevant. And you know what? I don't care about your feelings because they don't matter. What matters is getting the facts in place. You could have talked to Brandon Wilkinson. You could have talked to my friend and associate Zach and the National Firearms Coalition. You could have contacted me. You didn't. You knew you could. You knew you should. But that would have gotten in the way of your abject pandering and name calling. And I think that's insulting, both to your audience and everyone else. Now, there's more I can say about this. And yes, I am upset. But instead of going on, because I'm not going to make personal attacks, I'm going to stick with the facts, as we've done for 15 years. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Zach speak. But we're not done with this, gentlemen. Trust me, the Young Turks. You may have $1 million. You know what? I have the truth. I have honesty. I have dignity. And I have respect. I wish you would have that because you can't buy it. That's only something you can do because it's in your heart. Zach, I'd like to hear what you have to say.
You guys hear me? Am I like breaking up at all or anything?
No, we can hear you.
We can hear
I have the stream pulled up over here, just going through and doing some reading and watching some videos and stuff. First and foremost, I'd like to stand in defense of National Firearms Coalition. We're not the NRA. We're not the NAGR. We're not American Firearms Association. You know, we're new. We're all everyday people. Look at me. I'm wearing a orange zip-up hoodie. I'm not sitting here in a $6,000, $10,000, or $12,000 suit tie, spewing a bunch of crap. I'm as real as I can be, and I take a lot of pride in doing my research and basing my decisions on factual evidence, on factual statements based off of people when we get into our political candidates and our interviews. So in defense of National Firearms Coalition, we've kind of fallen under attack saying, we're endorsing a racist candidate. Now, we did not endorse Mr. Wilkinson till I think it was 5 days after the interview. Don't quote me on that. I might have to double check and look back. But I know there was a few-day gap where we had done some follow-up conversations with you regarding your stance I spoke to you directly regarding your stance later that evening and the following day, and you had told me that some of your friends had been reaching out to you. Um, and we made our decision based off of everything else in the interview, which I want to say thank you for because you're very elaborate. You didn't do the typical political procedure to try and deter away from difficult questions. Um, and you were open and honest about your opinion. Not once did you say in that statement, when I get to Congress, I'm banning all immigrants from voting. You know, you voiced your opinion. Um, your opinion has changed, you know, what have you. But the fact that we fall under attack from such a large organization, which I would look at it and consider the Young Turks as borderline mainstream media for the liberal left. You know, they have over 14 million combined subscribers um, across their social media platforms. And I've never even heard of these guys until I found out that we were under attack by them, of attack from them earlier this morning. Um, and with just a little simple research, you know, I found out how unafraid I was. Their entire ideology, the way that they present themselves, the way that they immediately hypocrisize. Is that a word? Is that the word I'm looking for? Um, basically, what really kicked me sideways was how they sit on screen calling us racists, and then within 40 seconds later refer to me as Al Qaeda and Duck Dynasty and acting racist. Something
Not
that-
acting racist, being racist.
being racist. Something that the left always does that really bothers me. And you guys have heard me say this a million times over, and I'll keep saying it a million times over, is the left is always so quick to just jump right into name calling, hate talk, and you know, how can you sit there and call a group of guys conducting an interview um, with a candidate and not only steal the video, but only take clippets of the video, not even actually provide the entire question and the follow up after your answer, but just the clip of words that you say. Pause the video, look up at their audience, and go, "What a racist bigot." And then the very next guy, 40 seconds later, goes, "I was waiting for the guy up in the top left, that Al Qaeda looking guy." You know, is that not racist? Is that not racism at its finest? Um, I really stand behind you and your candidacy. I've spoke to you a lot. You know, we had kind of washed this up between us seeking our endorsement. Um, but I just can't believe that an organization, an elite organization, you know, somebody with such a large mass following would take such a huge strike down at an organization such as National Firearms Coalition. No sound bites allowed. You know, we're everyday working people. I sit here in a ball cap and a sweatshirt. You know, I'm working and I do what I can to do what I do, and that's that. I'm not a millionaire. I don't just drive around fancy cars and sit and stop and go do on a podcast for an hour a day and then go get fancy restaurants and do all this stuff. Um, and it's really disheartening that this is what it's come to. That they couldn't provide the actual links to the videos. Something that Mr. Vasquez, ourselves at NFC, and even Mr. Marshall, that's not here with us tonight from Liberty First Foundation, something that we do is every time we say something, we tell you not to believe us. We tell you to go find it for yourself. Go do some research. Here's the links where we found it. We put the links in the comment threads. This is where we gained our, you know, where we gathered our information. This is our source. And we encourage people to go and read it for themselves, to go and actually watch the videos of somebody saying something. We don't take that 2 hour long video and doctor it down and clip out 14 seconds of somebody making a statement and say, "Oh, this guy's the biggest racist running for GOP." You know, we would have at least had the dignity and integrity to post the link of the entire video. And I have not attacked any candidates. NFC has not attacked any candidates. We won't attack candidates on a personal level like that, ever. And I'm mind blown. I really am. It blows my mind that the left comes to this every time. Every time there's a conflict, they come to this name calling, the harassment, the hate messages, the messages I've gotten in my inbox today from people on their page. It's disgusting. It really is.
I want to add something before I ask. I have a question for you, Brandon, in just one moment. But I want to mention something, and I want to make sure that this sinks in. Cenk Wager, and I may be mispronouncing your name, but you're not relevant enough for me to really remember what it is precisely. But let me ask you, when the public radio of Armenia published your CNN interview with Chris Cuomo, I'm pretty sure that you were happy to have the opportunity to respond when Chris Cuomo questioned why you denied the Armenian genocide. I think that was important because you faced the questions about your past statements, because he had enough respect to be able to ask you a question and allow you the opportunity to clarify your position and to say, and to have you say, well, you had changed your position based on your further investigation of the information. And you did the same thing when you were talking about the radical feminism back in the old days when you were a columnist at the Daily Pennsylvanian in the 1990s. Again, this information is coming from, and I'm quoting in part, the public radio of Armenia, in case you have a question, because I do my homework. And I would ask you, why don't you publicly tell all of your viewers and the nation why you were afraid to actually give any of us the opportunity to face your questions and to come up with responses? I think that's very telling about your channel and what you, and the manipulation you want to do to your viewers. Now, my question to Brandon, given the fact that we had a question you had not faced before, given the fact that you've had the opportunity to look into the issue, what do you believe this says about going forward as both a candidate and or the member of Congress representing the Missouri 3rd District?
I missed part of what you said. You said, what does it say about me moving forward?
Yes, what does this say? What does this whole incident say about that?
I would start by saying right off the bat, I think it shows that I'm willing to have a conversation. And if you can come with an articulated enough, if you can come with a different position, you can articulate it and you're logical about it, then I'm open to listening and representing my constituents, to listen to my constituents, to listen to my colleagues and friends, so I can be a better representative. And that's something I feel like we're really lacking. I've tried to have many conversations with politicians, candidates over the years that even once they know they're wrong, they just, again, they don't want to admit it, so they just stick to it. I think I honestly, I think it's a good quality. I'm willing to have the conversations. I've been willing to for years, and I've had many of them. I'm always like Steven Crowder with the change my minds. I'm always willing to have that discussion, and maybe you might be able to change my mind. It's only happened once, but I think it says a lot that I'm willing to sit there and have that conversation, and not just listen to what someone has to say, but really hear it, think about it, and digest it. And if I feel like I was wrong or the position that came with is better, then I'm willing to move forward with the better position.
Okay, so let me ask then, if by chance, and the law of averages says that eventually Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, they must be right at some point about something in life. Just because the law of large numbers says they can't always be wrong. That's my personal opinion. I'm offering that today because it is in an interview. This is a response. So, given that, are you saying that you would be willing to go into Congress and to represent the best interests of the people of the 3rd District of Missouri? And if someone were to present to you a position, whether it be a voter, a constituent, or one of the members of Congress, and to show you that this is something that is in your best interest, whether or not the party actually agrees with it, would you then say, okay, this isn't something the party likes, but it is effective and it is efficient for the people of Missouri, therefore I will support it? Is that something that you would do, or are you a hardline partisan that only goes with the party line vote?
I don't play the toe of the party line game. If a Democrat, a colleague, or constituent, whatever, came with something that isn't typical of the Republican Party, and I believe that it was the correct position, then yes, I would represent that. I will not play the toe of the party line, whatever. If someone on the other side, I'll use an example: burn pit bills, right? This is an issue. It's an American issue. It's not a partisan issue. Like, look at another one: term limits. That's not a partisan issue. That's an American issue. 82% of Americans want it. I'm willing to work with Democrats to pass term limits. So if I believe it, if they come to me and they come with something I already believe in and my constituents want, and so on, yeah, I'm willing to work with the left. Now, to be realistic, I can't really foresee any situation the left would be willing to work with me on, and vice versa, because, but hey, like you said, the law of averages, eventually they have to be right once. So let's say they're right that once. Yeah, I'll work with them. I just don't see it.
I can understand that. But I want to make sure, since they're questioning us about our credibility, our integrity, our respect, and our ability to represent to the public the truth, then we're going to ask questions about that so the public knows. Because unlike CNN, unlike MSNBC, unlike the people at the Young Turks, we actually look to present the public with the answer, not our answer. So that's the way I like to look at it.
Yeah, and a couple things I wanted to say, which you guys kind of covered. One is that, for Cenk and the Young Turks to attack me, that's one thing. I'm the one who made the statement. I'm the one that had the position. You guys were just interviewing. You didn't play into that one bit. You were asking the questions. You had follow-ups and so on. And for them to attack you guys, not just the organizations, but you two on the personal level, it's just disgusting. Our media it's a perfect example of how our media has lost its way. How unethical, journalism has become, and integrity in journalism is gone with all the mainstream, all the large corporations and media companies, and it's disgraceful. And I was really surprised that an organization with 5 million followers on Facebook, 5 million on Twitter, 5 million on YouTube, would punch down to my level. And I mean, I do have a really ridiculously large political following, with over 250,000 followers per candidate or politician. That's really ridiculous. But compared to, them with 15 million, I was, a little pissed, that they misrepresented things. They cherry picked 15 seconds out of a 2-hour and 20-minute interview. And here's nothing. I've put out my position change after all the discussions, before they probably ever even thought about writing this article. So if they had any integrity at all, they would have done a little research and probably seen that I've responded to this and that realized I was wrong and ran with it anyways. And that's what I personally think happened. And if they didn't look, well, then it goes back to a lack of journalistic integrity.
Well, I think my personal opinion, and this is, again, my personal opinion, since this is about me and my channel personally, as well as all of ours, I will say, I think they're afraid. I think they're terrified. I think the Young Turks is scared to death. Both of your campaign in Missouri, the fact that Republicans across this nation are winning because of the failed policies of the Biden-Harris administration, which are on demonstration every day as Americans go to the store and buy food for their family if they can find it on the shelves. I think they're terrified of a black Republican who won't back down and has some worldwide experience. I think they're terrified of a young man who isn't fancy, who isn't well-funded, he isn't backed by the mainstream, and he's still willing to take his time and effort to be able to present to the public information that they may find of value. I think they're absolutely terrified that they realize the American public see them for what they are. Individuals that cannot present substance. Instead, they present emotion. They try and beguile the public and try and bewilder them, throwing information at them as quickly as possible and adding in an ist and an ism and a phobe to try and change people's feelings and viewpoints without actually substantiating anything of truth. Again, as you mentioned, you had already made a correction. You had made a further clarification. It would have taken them 10 seconds for their staff of dozens, hundreds, who are getting paid tens of thousands of dollars to find out that there was more information that the public could have been informed on. And instead, they decided to lie, because that's what it is. When the information is available and you know it, and you did your homework, not to put that in isn't just an omission, it is a lie. The Young Turks are terrified of people figuring out they have no substance and they can only lie. And it's insulting. If I were a Democrat, I would be highly insulted that they thought so little of their audience. Maybe that's why they're stagnating right now. But Zach, go ahead.
Just sorry, I'm sitting here on the other device, reading and researching and trying to answer questions for people that are asking questions privately, because we've still been getting blown up by our followers all day about this, because we had already cleared the air on this whole scenario before it even started. But now we're, all over the media is endorsing racist candidates and all that. So I've been busy all day answering people, answering phone calls, kind of clearing things up. I know Brandon had told me he was, not of that standpoint before we made the decision to sign the endorsement agreement. I was unaware until today that he had already issued a new public statement on his social media. He informed me that he'd already done that before the Young Turks attacked us all. And I don't even know who these people are, man. Like, I've been sitting here for the last few hours trying to research who the Young Turks are. I've got nothing that I could say good about them. Every video I go watch is just.
Oh. One moment. I want to throw something in here because I just realized the Young Turks, Chinkuger, don't you dare eliminate that video. Don't you dare just delete it without a single comment. Yes, I understand that you violated the rules of YouTube in striking smaller channels than your own. I understand that you violated the rules of all the internet and social media companies by making personal attacks against individuals about their intrinsic, their intrinsic life, our looks, the way we are intrinsically. Don't you dare try and remove this to hide this and just say, oh, well, we'll move on to something else. Don't be such a coward. Stand there, stand up. This is what you did, and take the punishment for that, which should, if YouTube, if Twitter, if Facebook, if the social media giants are being honest about their rules and regulations, they will strike your channel as it should be because of what you have done. But I'm saying, don't be cowards. Don't just back off and remove it before you can be punished. You already did it. Take your punishment like men. Stand up and be honest about what happened here. Because I know that's what you're probably thinking. We'll just delete this because it's negative press. Live it. You did it. Take the consequences. Don't be more of a coward than what you've already done. I just wanted to throw that in there.
No, I just, like I said, man, I'm still at kind of a loss of words for this, because obviously, as the founder of National Firearms Coalition, I just got sick of the NRA, and this is not an attack on the NRA. The NRA has done wonders over the years, but my thing was I no longer felt they were for the American people. So a group of friends, myself, decided to start our own grassroots gun organization, gun rights advocacy organization. And this is the first time we've fallen under serious heat, I guess I'll call it, serious political heat. And I would have really appreciated the decency and the integrity of somebody to actually come ask our organization questions regarding this matter before just taking it public and doctoring a video and and putting everybody on blast. It really shows me the lack of integrity of individuals that sit and do this type of stuff. It really shows me the lack of respect that they have for any opinion other than their own. And it really shows me the lack of due diligence that they have. They don't do any type of research. They don't do any type of investigating for their journalism and for their so-called news. Literally, it was just a let's call it a smut fest. They took 15-second clip and a 5-second clip, and they sat for 15, what was the video, 12 minutes and some odd seconds of just blasting us. You know, there wasn't even really any significant news in there. It was just 12 minutes of pure blasting us for being racist and calling us bigots and calling me Al-Qaeda, harassing Mr. Vasquez for smoking on camera. I got my cigarette, you know. I
would have a cigarette if I went in my office. Just
I'm not offended. I'm not offended at all by having the cigarette. You know, I'm over the age to smoke cigarettes. I have been smoking cigarettes for 15 years. I have the right to spend my money on what I want to spend it on. I don't have any type of diseases or am in no different shape or form than an everyday American citizen because I smoke cigarettes. All right. So the fact that these guys actually sat there and did there's a place and time and on camera is not that place and time. Take a hike, buddy. I'm here, sitting here as myself in my sweatshirt with my ball cap on and my unshaved face because I'm not afraid to walk through an airport as an American, talking to Americans. So I'm not going to hide who I am to make everybody on camera think I'm something else or something different than who I am.
Let me remind people, and I strongly advise you, don't take our word for it. Don't take the word of the Young Turks. The video exists. Go ahead and look it up, whether you're on Facebook or you go to Facebook and look at the National Firearms Coalition video. If you look at my video on No Soundbites Allowed, look at the entire 2 hours. Listen to the context of everything that was said. Find out for yourself because they were too lazy to do the work. They were too busy trying to manipulate you to actually spend the time to give you the real information, the truth. Plus, I advise you, look up Brandon Wilkinson's response after the fact, before they ever decided to try and manipulate you, before they ever tried to emotionally use you emotionally and or to attack us personally. I want you to find out the truth. And I don't want you to take my word for it just on this video. See the truth. And then make up your decision. And if you happen to be in Missouri and you happen to be in the Missouri 3rd District on August 2nd, before August 2nd comes up in the primary, find out the full truth. And then take an opportunity to reach out to Brandon Wilkinson and ask him, either an email or in person, to ask him and his campaign where they actually stand on the issues that matter to you. Now, is that because I'm saying that you should vote for him? I'm saying for myself, make up your own mind. What I am saying is, don't trust the Young Turks. Don't trust me. Find out for yourself, like you should do in every single election, local, state, and federal. Find out who's running, what they're running for, and then make a decision based on what you believe is important in America. If he is supporting what you believe in more than he does not, then that means you vote for him if he's the better candidate, period. And all this pettiness, that doesn't help America get better. It helps America get worse. And I have to wonder why the Young Turks want America to be worse. But that's
I might point out.
But
so yeah, shoot me a message, an email on my Facebook page. You could even shoot me a text message. My phone number is 314-410-7826, which I make public because I make myself available. I also like to point out to the people out there something, you know, the Young Turks, if you're watching this, if you're Republican or conservative, you wouldn't like anything they stand for anyway. So what do you think about them attacking, about us? It means we probably stand for the right things. The fact they're attacking me and wanting to hurt my campaign I would say would mean would probably mean that they'd rather have the incumbent stay in office because they know when I get there, I'm going to fight for you. Their attack against me is to try to prevent me from winning and being able to fight for you. And that's what they're afraid of, is having someone in the seat who will fight, someone who will be on the front lines fighting, not sitting in the back room that you never hear from. So I'd like to leave you guys with that. Yeah. And check out my website, and you can see I'm very open on a lot of issues on there. www.brandonformissouri.com. And if you have questions, just reach out.
I think that's the best way. Zach, do you have any final thoughts as we're finishing up? Because I've already said mine.
I just was going to touch base real quick on some of the things that you had already really touched base on.
Whoa, hey, remove that right now.
Wrong one. My bad. Gone. You can comment it and do it on yours because I don't have the right one. Anyways.
Oh,
yes.
Gosh,
my bad. I just went to copy it and I was like, wait, wrong one. I saw it as soon as you said it. I was actually already looking down.
No, it's all good. It don't matter. You know, if they try to call an old number, it won't work. But you can put up the right one. It's 314-410-7826.
So we're not hiding it from you folks. We're getting the correct information. It's called.
I don't want people calling a number. I want people calling a number that's the wrong number to talk to me.
314 what?
314-410-7826.
See, but we're actually doing the homework and we're doing the correction. We're doing the job, not just putting up something old and incorrect.
I imagine people be pissed if they're like, he said to call if he had an issue and then he gave us the wrong number. Anyways, I appreciate you guys coming on and us all addressing this. You know, if Chank would have reached out, which I'm sure that they saw my response, my correction. But had they reached out, you know, even being that far left of an organization, I'm not scared of the left. I would have probably been more than willing to go on that show with them.
That's the right one now?
Yeah, that's the correct phone number.
Okay. Yeah, they're too afraid to actually have Republicans, honest, true Republicans, stand up and actually take questions from us and actually deal with us in person or in a video, in an interview. No, they have to chop it up. They have to hide it because they have no substance and they have no credibility, in my opinion. Again, I'm done.
So to finish up for myself in NFC, I wanted to just kind of touch on exactly what you already touched on. You know, the information is out there. I encourage everybody that watches this video to go find this video. I'm not going to give them the gratification of sending more views to their channels by sharing the links. If you want the links, message any of us. We have them. We have the links to the Twitters. We have the links to the Facebook posts. We have the links to the YouTube posts. I have tagged them in the comment thread 2 or 3 different times. I would honestly love to see them respond to any of this without editing the video, without just taking a 15-second snippet and labeling any of us as anything. I would love to see them actually respond to the entirety of this video. And I would encourage everybody, I already shared it in the comment section once. There it is again. There's the National Firearms Coalition page with the link, the entire video of the Brandon Wilkinson interview. You can also find it on No Soundbites Allowed on his YouTube channel as well. I've shared the links to both Mike's page and mine in the comments, the National Firearms Coalition. We're not hiding any of this. We're not going to delete videos. We're not going to hide any videos. And just like I tell everybody, is where I stand with the Second Amendment, is I'm not stopping till I can't speak anymore. So every single attack that comes down from upstream is going to get met with the same attitude, the same due diligence, the same research that I'm doing right now to successfully argue back. It is wrong to take 5 seconds of a video of somebody's statement and make a 12-minute smut post about it, labeling everybody involved. It is not only unethical, it's unprofessional. It is not investigative journalism. It is not by any means real news. Because had you have done, and this is to the Young Turks, had you have done your research or investigative part of your journalism, you would have noticed that this was already addressed. It was already posted on Brandon Wilkinson's Facebook page. He'd already done a follow-up video. We did follow-up videos. We did follow-up interviews with him regarding his stance on the matter before we made the decision to formally endorse him as National Firearms Coalition. I encourage everybody to do the same. Just like Mike Vasquez just said 5 or 6 minutes ago, do your research. Get out in your district, especially if you're in District 3 of Missouri, because this district has been a real fun one to become involved with, a real fun one to, look into the campaigns with. And without getting too much further into that, I just encourage you all to vote based on educated decisions. I myself, I vote based on educated decisions. I don't vote based off what one person said one time. That might set a small flag for me, but I would I would reach out to them. Almost all of these political candidates, whether they're new candidates or whether they are candidates rerunning for office, will take the time out to answer your questions. Almost all of them are willing to sit on interviews and talk. They all have phone numbers and emails to contact campaign managers and talk. Do not vote against a candidate because of one thing that they've said. If you agree with every other thing that somebody has said and they say one thing that sets a flag for you, get off your butt, get on the phone, get on your computer, send an email, send a phone call, talk, ask these people questions, because the other candidate might have said one thing you agree with and 100 that didn't, but you're going to vote against the one that said one thing that really set you sideways. So it's really important that people stop voting in our country based on irrational, emotional decisions and arguments that are being pushed and promoted by extreme media. And I'm not saying it's just the left. We have it on the right too. But where we stand, where we are right now on this show, we take a lot of pride in not being extreme in either direction. We try to make the people that are watching these videos do some research. We will sit here and educate you, but we have done our research, and anything that we say, we provide our sources for. And it ain't just some Google search. Mr. Vasquez spends hours searching government websites on a state and federal level for all of our candidates that we've interviewed, and I'm sure for everyone that he's interviewed as well. That's where we come up with these questions. We don't just get on Google and say, hey, is such and such a racist? No, we actually look into their entire history, their background, and we look on the government sites for their votes. If they're an existing
member of elected office.
Yeah, if they're already there and they're running for re-election, we look into their previous votes. We look into legislation introductions. We look into what they voted yay and nay on for legislation. We get pretty extensive, pretty in-depth. But it just really upsets me. And I can't say it enough times in this stream that I'm really, really looking forward to a response from these monsters called the Young Turks, these massive people with 15 million subscribers for our little old channel. It shows me we're doing something right.
By the way, in case they want to attack me for what they think might be a drink, it's a soda. Because since they like to label us for things,
it don't matter. Go take a clip from the last time you drank from it, and and they'll say he's drinking liquor in a podcast, even though 30 seconds later you show it's soda.
Well, this is why we
So
don't
silly
delete our
that I have to do
videos.
that. It's silly that I even have to do that.
We don't delete our
I
videos.
encourage. Sorry, go ahead, Zach.
No, I'm just saying we won't delete our videos. So I really hope that tomorrow we see a video on Twitter of them calling Mike Vasquez an alcoholic and drinking liquor, because I will put this video all over the place.
Yeah, they probably.
So, I also encourage everyone to go to my page and look at the video I put up addressing it, because that was up a couple days before Young Turks attacked me, and the day before that, I was on an interview that went across three stations in my district and a podcast where I also talked about it. So, though they may turn it, like I said earlier, say, "Oh, look, he's spineless, and now he's turning back on his position because we exposed him." No, because I really think they're going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes, they will.
So, yeah. But you can go and see it yourself. Just a couple days ago, I posted it. You can go on Missouri Liberty Report and look at the podcast I did with them that aired across. It was either 2 or 3 radio stations plus their channel where I talked about it. So, I'm willing to have a conversation. So reach out if you want to.
Yep.
Yeah, I could sit here and rant for hours, but I'm sure we've been on here for about 56 minutes now. I think that's good. I think we got a lot of things cleared up and stated. And I challenge the Young Turks to respond to this video. I bet won't even have the nerve to say something back.
Nah,
and I'm sitting here in a barn right now as an everyday person, not afraid, the Duck Dynasty beard and all, to respond to whatever you have to say to this. And I really look forward to it. I really hope that you actually had Mr. Chank, I think is his name. I don't even know who these people are, but I hope he actually responds. I really do. I'm looking forward to it.
Yep.
Anybody else have anything else they'd like to say before we say goodnight?
One last thing.
Let's go,
Brandon.
There you go. There we go.
All right, guys. Wesley Smith, that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, that's another day. Today was about this race. Yeah.
Gun raffle. Gun raffle.
Hey, I got an awesome gun raffle going on right now, guys. Check it out.
Right. That's right, you do. Check it all out, folks.
All right. Everybody have a good night. Zach from National Firearms Coalition. Beside me is Mike Vasquez from No Soundbites Allowed. Down there is Brandon Wilkinson. Let's go, Brandon Wilkinson from Missouri District 3. This was a response video. Was not by any means an interview. Was not by any means any type of questions to be asked. This was just statements from us individually on how we feel regarding the personal and organizational attacks from the Young Turks. And I hope that we hear from them very soon. You guys have a good night.
You too.